How many manual four-wheel drive turbocharged sport cars are there on the market? Not many, but the GR Yaris is one of them. And Toyota has just launched the updated GR Yaris. Did they need to? Probably not, but they did. And I have the absolute pleasure of being in France of the press trip of the new GR Yaris. I'm standing between the old one and the new one, which is a perfect time to show you the differences, and I'll take it on the track and on some twisty roads to show you what the updates have been and what the results have made to the GR Yaris. The amount of changes Toyota or GR has applied to the new GR Yaris are really many, and I'll try to go through every one of them, but if I miss someone, just write to me in the comments or complain. No worries about that. But from next year point of view, it's more aggressive. Not only because they wanted to make it more aggressive, but because of history of testing of broken parts. Because this front here is now 3-piece. So if something is destroyed, you're rallying, you're clipping the side of the road, you can change it. This part here is now in metal instead of plastic, so it doesn't melt. You don't find any braking light here, it's instead integrated here, because when they went rallying, rocks flew here, destroyed the rear taillight. Just things that you find when you start using the car for what it's meant to be used for. And here Toyota has shown us some of the parts that they have actually broken. And to be frank, it is really nice to see that Toyota is showing the parts that are broken, because when they break stuff, they improved on it. They broke it mostly during rallying and high performance driving. So for example, the piston here broke and they made it of higher strength steel, the new GR Yaris. Had some issues with broken gears, the cooling of the gearbox was not enough, so they improved on it. Here you can see the broken part of the front bumper. Now it's 3 pieces, much easier to replace. So there are so many small parts that Toyota has gone in, and it really adds up to not only a better driving experience, but a car that will last for longer as well. This dash is now different compared to the regular Yaris. The digital gauge cluster is now, of course, digital with different layouts depending on which driving mode you're in. So I'm quite tall, which meant that in the previous generation I could basically not see out. And that sounds crazy, but that was the truth. Here you could not see out. But Toyota has made changes. They moved the rear view mirror up, they moved the center dash down, and they've lowered the seat as well. So you're sitting more sporty, you have better visibility. One of the new features is as well the automatic transmission. And I think that's a good implementation. People think that, yeah, it's a hot hatch, it's driver focused, you want a manual. But with the automatic, you're reaching a wider audience. And when you're on track, automatics are generally just faster. But other than that, good side support. I will talk about that when you start driving. You do have almost 3 seats in the rear. Of course, really cramped. This is a tiny car. But the sound system is actually quite decent for what it is. And for what it is quite pricey. Over 60,000 euros. It's a quite tight and twisty technical track with lots of undulation. 280 horsepower is just enough. Turns in nicely here. Agile. And the tires, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, does the job really well here. Since it is a not manual, automatic, you don't have to think about changing gears here. It's a big change between the different driving modes, so you can feel it in the full drive system as well. Taking the apex here, so easy to plant. You can overdrive it quite easily and you know the limits of the car. You can also see the apex much easier now, since you have more visibility here. And push it out. Wow. Suspension eats the bumps really well. You can really throw it around here. Modulate with both the brakes and the throttle. And while the manual is not as quick at shifting, of course, as an automatic, there is no question that in terms of driver focus and having just fun, this is the car to get. You just feel more involved. But if you want to take this on a track and that, I mean, that turning, getting hot and heavy here. You can see the tight turn in the front end, getting lots of feedback, powering out. Even though it is a Yaris, it's actually quite usable. You have almost 3 seats in the back. The seats are quite huggy, but as long as you're not too big, they are fairly comfortable even on long journeys. One thing that I think is actually not that good, the rear visibility. Yeah, you do see back, but the rear window is that small. If you are an enthusiast that will probably take it to the track, but also drive a lot on the B roads, then the manual will fit you and serve you extremely well. If you want to try the GR Yaris experience, and you have never really driven a hot hatch before, or you want to get on the GR Yaris hype, and you might feel that the manual might not be for me, well, the automatic is there for you. And easier to focus on, you know, placing the car, steering the car, all the things that is about driving, you know. Flip it into sport mode, switch the full drive system, and this car not transforms, but you do feel the changes. Steering is a bit heavier, get some more feedback. You can feel how the car turns in depending on which driving mode you're in there. If it's four-wheel drive, how much power it sends to the front versus the rear wheels. And I mean, yeah, I could talk about forever about Toyota adding spot welds to the chassis, increasing glue, adhesive glue, increasing the strength of the shock towers because they're broken it during rallying and testing and so on and so forth. But I mean, you won't really notice it because you're sitting here driving it. Well, it might be a bit stiffer, but those are there that will increase the longevity of the car. And it's just good to know that Toyota cares about their customers, the cars that they build, and improve upon them. New one, old one. More focused, but more easily reachable, more easily approachable in one way. More sporty, but more easily reachable. Doesn't make sense, but it actually does. Much more expensive. Which means that this must be, and it is, a big jump in performance. It's more usable, it is better in almost any or every aspect, and you pay a premium for that. Is it worth it? Well, it's actually difficult to say that the buyer will have or the market will say for it, but I can just say that Toyota has made a fantastic product even better, but at a cost.